Hi, I'm Doyle Bishop with Tulsa Heaters Midstream. Today I want to talk to you about heating amine solution. So this is really targeted for those process engineers in midstream that you're putting in a gas plant. Your gas coming in has H₂S and CO₂. I'm going to call those the baddies. And you know you've got to do something with those. You got to remove that. And the way to do it is with an amine plant. And as you know, in an amine plant requires heat. And so the question is what is the form of heat that I want to use in my amine plant? I want to talk about the three different types that we routinely see, and let's talk about what are the pluses and minuses. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about what's going around this heating process, just as a refresher. So I've drawn this out. It's pretty busy, but you can see my overarching question is how to heat amine solution. That's the big one, and that's what I really want to focus in on. But I need to back up just a little bit. Let's take really 1/2 or 1/4 of an amine plant, and part of that is the regenerator, and the other half is really the absorbing side. So I've got rich amine coming from the other part of the plant, which we're not going to talk about, into the regenerator. What does a regenerator do? Well, this is where we strip out the baddies, I'm going to call it. We strip out the CO₂, the H₂S, and the way we strip it out is we have a steam or vapor phase going into the bottom of the regenerator as liquid, rich amine liquid comes down, and this strips it out and exits out of the top. Obviously, to generate steam vapor, I'm going to need some heat. And that's where the reboiler comes in, and that's where the heat is applied in the reboiler. So let's dissect the reboiler a little bit here. But before we do that, let's just at least list the three types of heating that we can use in a reboiler. I've started off with my artwork here with one type, which is a Firetube type reboiler. Number one, Firetube. We can do that. Number two is direct coil, or a fired heater with a direct coil with amine solution in the coil. And three is a heat medium or a hot oil system. We're going to talk about all three of those, their features and benefits, and let's hopefully get to a recommendation. We will get to a recommendation from THM. So let's talk about the Firetube type first. Here's a typical reboiler. What's going on in here? You can see my poor attempt to try to show what is liquid and what is vapor. This is the surface of the liquid. This little device in here, I didn't label it, but this is a weir or a dam that creates essentially a level of liquid over the heat transfer surface. Obviously with a Firetube, you never want to let this run dry. You always want liquid in contact with that Firetube, and the way you do that is with a weir. As you bring it in, it spills over the weir and then comes out. So it's coming out here and it's going back to the absorber, which is the front end of your plant, to take out some more of the baddies with the incoming natural gas. And then liquid, you can see, is coming in. This needs to be reheated. Liquid's coming into this side. You can see I have it drawn at this end of the reboiler, so it gets the full effect of this hot Firetube. A Firetube is exactly what it is. What it says is, hey, I've got fire inside of this tube. So this tube typically might be something like, let's say 20 inches in diameter. It's a reasonable size. Inside of that is fire or flue gas, and it's transferring heat into this amine solution from the surface of this Firetube. The surface of this Firetube typically runs on the order of, let's say, 550 degrees. That's a reasonable number. That's the metal temperature of that Firetube. Which brings me to an important point of amine solution. What temperature can amine solution take? Well, to answer that, let's look at what are the temperatures going in and out of the reboiler. What are typical temperatures? Typical temperatures going in might be, let's say, 240 degrees. That's a typical temperature going in. Coming out might be 250. So not a big temperature rise, and the reason there's not a big temperature rise is because I've got a phase change going on. So most of my energy in a reboiler is going into boiling off the solution, creating a phase change. So these look like fairly reasonable temperatures, fairly low temperatures. Well, guess what? A typical amine solvent has a maximum temperature that it can take in the range of about 300 degrees F. That's what they call max film temperature. So what happens if I go over this? If I go over this, I start degrading the solvent, which is not a good thing. So it really likes to be heated gently. Now, if I have 550 degree surface temperature, this fire tube, I'm getting really close probably to having maximum film temperature. So a fire tube is not what I would call gentle heating for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, is a high temperature of this fire tube. Two, is because I don't have rapid movement. I don't have a high heat transfer coefficient on the outside. It's almost stagnant. So I have liquid that's sitting on top of this fire tube. In this region, this boundary region, I can get fairly high temperatures. So I'm just going to draw that concept for you just a little bit here. We've talked about this before. If this represents the wall of my fire tube, and on this side I've got, let's say, 1,000 degree gases. On this side I've got 245 degree liquid. What is the temperature right on top of that in that liquid? That's the film temperature. So if I have the metal temperature is 550, I'm going to model out this film temperature pretty high. And that's probably the biggest downside for fire tube heaters, is you're right on the razor's edge of this max film temperature for amine solution. Now, what's the good part of a fire tube? Well, the good part is everything is self-contained here. I don't have any auxiliary equipment. I don't have any other heaters. I don't have any pumps. Maybe I have a blower, right, pushing air in here. Maybe it's natural draft. It could be natural draft as well. But it's self-contained, fairly low capital cost for fire tube heating.